This is the Clutch Report, and I'm your host, Jamal Bethia. Like, comment, and subscribe if you're having a hell of a time. Like, comment, and subscribe if you're having a hell of a time. So today is the Clutch Report's first sports interview. I'm really excited about this, right? I have a buddy named Bailey Jackson from Bailey Jackson Sports. Okay, she is a social media sports content creator, and she's doing an excellent job. I mean, at this point, she's worked with Meta on some content. At this point, she was invited to the Paris Olympics last summer, right, to cover the Olympics, which is exciting. She was invited to NBA All-Star Weekend, I believe, 2023, the first one where they had the play-in tournament. She was also invited to interview Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Bucks. I think she interviewed Damian Lillard, I'm not sure. And I know she's also recently interviewed Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. The girl is quickly blowing up in media. She's in all the right places, and I'm really proud of her. This interview was recorded a year ago. You know, I second guessed myself. I pump faked a little bit as far as should I really be doing this and do people want to hear me? So you may hear her talk about like the Paris Olympics and those things. That's just on me because, you know, sometimes, you know, in content and in media, things don't always drop right away. Sometimes there are delays, but with no further delay, here is Jamal Bethia from the Clutch Report interviewing Bailey Jackson from Bailey Jackson Sports.
So how are you? How you feeling?
I'm good. Yeah, everything is going well. Nothing but good news since the last time we talked. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
awesome. Okay,
yeah, everything's going really well.
everything's going really well. Okay, all
Hmm.
right. So for starters, let's just start. You know, in your childhood, you have obviously a big tie to sports. I mean, your socials are blowing up. I like the way you do the videos. Your little face doing like this at the bottom with the
Yeah.
content. It's a really good model. It's a good template. So let's just start. What is your initial roots as it pertains to sports?
Yeah, I grew up playing just about everything. My parents put me in, I want to say like gymnastics was maybe like the first thing that I did, and that turned to dance and then soccer and basketball, like
Hmm.
literally everything, volleyball. And then I started playing golf competitively. That was my main sport. By the time I hit like 12, 13, I started taking that really seriously. So
Hmm.
that's really where the root of like my interest in sports came in. It was really what my parents kind of instilled in me. Like as I don't know if they like even knew what they were doing, but they were just like, "Hey, we're gonna expose you to all of this stuff and see what sticks."
Yeah.
And then just ended up really liking everything, honestly. If I could go back and like relive that part of my life, I would play all the sports over again. I probably would stick with all of them too. I keep saying like I would go back and like I would continue dance, I would continue basketball, I could continue volleyball, but then I'd also want to continue golf. Like I loved everything growing up.
Yeah, okay. Basketball is personally my favorite sport. How long
Hmm.
did you play basketball?
Um, well, that's a good question. I want to say maybe from like 5 to like 11, so like 6 years.
Were you a young prodigy?
Young prodigy, I don't know about that. I will say there was a club team, like a travel club team that was in my city, and it was called Caramel Pups. And if you made caramel pups, you were good. Like it was known, like
Okay,
you
okay.
had skill. And they had an A,
Shout out to
B,
Crumble
A,
Pops.
yeah, exactly. A team, B team, and I maybe like a C team. And I remember fourth grade, I tried out, and I made A team, and I thought I was the coolest person ever. Ended up playing on the same team as Miss Indiana basketball, class of 2022. Her name is Amy Dilk. She ended up going to University of Michigan and playing 4 years there. So I thought that was cool. I got to play with some true hoopers. A lot of those girls ended up playing college ball. So I was running with some like some good girls, some really good
Yeah,
players for a minute. So maybe I was kind of good, but
you were amongst elite company.
I was exactly. I was in very good company.
Yeah, okay. So you said the young lady's name was what? Amy.
Amy Dilk, Dilk. Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
She's what college did she play in college?
Yeah, she went to Michigan, University of Michigan.
You just said Michigan, right? Okay. So is she in the pros or no? Do you know?
I don't know. Last I heard, she's not playing basketball anymore. I don't know like what
Oh, okay.
her career looked like post graduation, but
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I do know that she was at Michigan for the entirety of her college career,
Hmm.
and yeah, I don't know after that though.
Okay, well, so we're definitely going to get into golf, but let's talk about some of these other sports first. So you danced as well. Tell me about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was brief, honestly. I think I
Oh,
did like
okay.
tap, ballet, maybe like a little bit of jazz. It was fun though. Like I do vividly remember that being fun. I was really young when I did it too. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, it was kind of like a little maybe 2, 3 year activity for me. Nothing that I ever took like too seriously.
Hmm. If
Yeah.
there was anything you would have taken serious outside of golf, what would it have been?
Probably basketball, honestly.
Probably basketball.
Yeah, especially now seeing like the growth of the women's game. Um, and I graduated recently, so I think it would have been really cool to kind of be a part of this new movement of, just attention to collegiate women's basketball, attention to the WNBA, kind of, being a part of that generation that's really pushing the needle. Fortunately, I'm a part of it on the media side, but it would be cool to now, I guess if I could go back and do things differently, it would be cool to be a part of that as a player. If I would have sat down and taken time to really develop my skill set and be the elite amongst the elites that I was playing with. So,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely women's basketball. I'd definitely stick with basketball if I could go back and do it all over again.
So what you're saying is, in an alternate universe, there's a Billy Jackson somewhere giving Caitlin Clark some work.
Maybe. Who knows? Maybe.
Maybe. Okay. Okay. I
Yeah,
hear that.
there
Okay.
could very well be.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Awesome. So let's talk about golf. So I know you said golf became like your main sport, your leading sport.
Hmm.
Let's talk about that. When did you start playing golf? How long did you play golf as well?
Yeah, I want to say I started off just by going out on the course with my dad every so often. It would turn into, hey, hit a shot maybe on this hole to like, okay, actually play the hole and
Hmm.
then maybe play a few holes. And then, that turned into, okay, 9, 18, let's get you in lessons. Lessons progressed to let's do summer tournaments. So I want to say by the time I turned 12 or 13, I started playing in competitively in summer leagues, just in Indiana. And then was at a point where I felt like I was kind of good enough to really truly compete. I was entering
Hmm.
high school as well. Um, a lot, not a lot, but a portion of my like high school decision was based on golf. There was either the option to go to a small private Catholic school or a big public high school called Carmel High School. So the
Hmm.
biggest high school in the state of Indiana, super competitive when it
Hmm.
comes to sports. They have some of like the best athletes coming out of high school. Um,
Okay.
and JV was an option at Carmel. Varsity was an option at my high school, Brebeuf.
Hmm.
And ultimately went to Brebeuf, was on varsity, was the number one position for my team just about every
Nice.
year. I think my freshman year was based on seniority, so I ended up playing, I think, like two, but played the
Hmm.
number one at least sophomore, junior, and senior year. So, yeah, I was able to, get some good competition in on that end, and I went to regionals, qualified, as an individual, and yeah, ended up playing up until the end of high school, and then at that point, I decided that it was kind of the end of the road for me, and yeah, just now I kind of play for fun and still keep up with the game, whether that's playing, whether that's watching it, or going to tournaments myself.
Who do you have your eyes on in the golf world?
My favorite's been Rory McIlroy, like since probably
Really?
I started in
Okay.
high school. Yeah, I remember seeing Rory at the BMW Championship. It comes to Carmel every so often, and played at the same course. It's called Crooked Stick, and they came in 2012 and 2016. And I remember seeing Rory in 2012, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love Roy McIlroy. I don't know what it
Yeah.
was about his game. I think he was really hot at the time too. Like he was winning a lot around
Yeah. Yeah.
like that tournament.
Hmm.
And then
I think he won recently, didn't he?
he did, yeah, he did. I forget. It was like maybe it wasn't the one last weekend because last weekend was PGA Championship, but the weekend before.
Hmm.
Um, So yeah, Rory was a favorite. Tiger, of course, just he
Of course, absolutely.
dominated the golf
The
world for
Jordan of
so
golf.
long.
Yeah,
Exactly. So and I was fortunate enough to watch him in 2012 as well, that same tournament. So yeah, I definitely looked up to both of them. And then on the women's side, Cheyenne Woods, she's amazing. She's been really fun to watch.
hmm
And then gosh, Michelle, I want to say her last name is Wee. I don't know if she plays anymore. I remember, I think Michelle Wee. That's who I'm thinking of. Um, but yeah, so just a handful of golfers. I mean, they've been inspirations to me as I've kind of crafted my golf game over the years. But yeah, Rory's a top for me. Rory will forever be the top for me. Yeah,
yeah.
he's great. He's fun to watch.
Oh yeah, Rory's excellent. He's excellent. My dad actually plays golf. He loves golf. He tries to get me into it. Golf's just not my thing, but I do
Hmm.
understand it enough to watch it and appreciate it. And yeah, he's been out there crushing it for a while. He really
Hmm.
has. I mean, Tiger, what can we say about him at this point? I mean, he's just everything.
Yeah.
Everything you want in a golf career, everything you want in any professional career was
Hmm.
Tiger Woods. You know what I mean?
Right.
Uh, so talk about what it was like to be the number one golfer. Like when I was in high school, I was in a marching band.
Hmm.
My marching band was elite. We were literally college level. So from about
Hmm.
August to about January, we toured. We just went everywhere. NFL games, college showcases. We just were everywhere. Like, what was it like being number one? What did you guys do? You know, did you have like that one day I'm gonna be a pro kind of swagger? You know what I mean? You go watch the little kids, they 12 years old and they walk in the gym with their bags and it's like, oh, they think they're going to the NBA. Like, what was it
Hmm.
like?
No, I don't think I ever really like thought that, oh, like I'm gonna be a pro, or like even college was kind of like I don't know, not on the front of my mind when I was playing. I knew
Hmm
I was good. I knew I could play in college. But it was really just kind of like one day at a time. And golf is such a mental game too. It's like you can be, in the best shape of your life and play golf. You could be in horrible shape, but it's really kind of what's going on up here is what's gonna like actually guide you through,
That's
and
really
have
good.
you have
Yeah.
a good round. So I would say honestly that like the best golfers probably aren't even thinking like oh I'm big time, I'm a big shot, like I'm big
hmm
dog on the course type of thing. Like they're they're locked in on completely different things. And not to say hey I'm the best golfer ever, but like I wasn't. I guess I was in a similar mindset where I was like I wasn't really thinking that way. As more just like okay, let's focus on whatever is up next. Let's focus on whether it's a tournament, whether it's just a 9-hole match against school during a weekday.
hmm
um yeah, it's just always kind of like what's the next step in front of me, and not like okay, where am I going to be down the line, or
hmm
like getting too big of a head or anything like that.
Okay. Understandable. Understandable. So I know you said you didn't play in college. So talk to me about transitioning to college from high
Yeah,
school. What it was
yeah,
like, no longer doing golf, what you took up instead, and what eventually kind of led you to where you are now.
yeah. So the biggest reason why I decided not to play golf in college was because I went to Indiana University to go to the business school. That was like the main reason why
Mhm.
I decided to go there.
Okay.
And Kelly is ranked one of the best undergrad programs in the country. It's known to be hard.
hmm
And not knowing what that was going to be like,
hmm
I didn't want to divide my time up too much. I knew being a D1 athlete was going to be a huge commitment, and I knew Kelly was going to be a huge commitment. And I was ultimately on scholarship for academics, not for golf.
hmm
Um, so it's like, okay, I need to put my all into school and, just also the transition, right? I was like, I knew that the transition from high school to college was going to be something to navigate. I didn't know how difficult or easy it was going to be. I just knew it was going to be, a transition, at the very
Right.
least, right? And it ended up being way harder for me than I would have expected. So I'm glad I didn't throw golf into the mix because that would have been probably a little bit of a nightmare. But at the same time, who knows? Because the biggest thing for me was really about finding community, and it took me probably at
Yeah.
least to my sophomore year to like really truly find my people,
Hmm.
and make IU feel a little bit more like home. Because initially it didn't. Like that whole freshman year for me was it was fine at times, but there were so many times where I'm just like, I want to go back home. I want to go to a different school. Like I had submitted transfer applications. I was ready to get out of there after first semester. I'm glad I
Really?
stayed.
Wow.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I was over it. I did not want to be there anymore. And it's
Right.
no shade to IU. It just at first it just didn't seem like my fit. Like I came from a smaller high school and then going to a school where you have like 35,000 undergrad is insane. Like
Whew.
I've
Yeah, that's a lot.
never, yeah, it's a huge school, absolutely
Hmm.
huge. And so your freshman year, despite being a bit, business major, it's like none of my classes were in the business school. I was doing all prereqs. I was all across, the campus. It's like never seeing the same people repeatedly. Like as time went on, it got smaller and smaller and smaller. It was like,
Right.
everything got more focused. But
Right.
that first year was just like, okay, here's one person exposed to this huge campus, huge,
Hmm.
student body. Um, and it was just a lot. I mean, it's not for everyone. Initially, it wasn't for me, but I figured out how to make it for me. Part of it was just getting involved, like I said, finding a community. Shout out to my business fraternity, Mu Beta Lambda. They're the first and only minority business fraternity in the country. So it was
Mm.
really cool to
Wow.
be a part of that. I was
Hmm.
president of my chapter. Um, I was head of marketing of my chapter, so it was some of my best friends to this day were part of my pledge class. So that was a really good way for me to get involved, and then two, also just getting involved in the sports scene as well. That's kind of how I got to where I am today. There was a girl that I knew that went to IU. She was studying
Hmm.
to become a news anchor, and she was like a flaming friend of ours. Our dads used to work together, and I followed her on
Nice.
Instagram. And I saw what she was doing for an internship. It was like the summer after my freshman year. I think she was maybe like a junior, so she was a couple years older. And she was doing some stuff in Indianapolis with the local basketball showcase page. Saw what she was doing, and I was like, I want to do that. And I literally just like
Hmm.
reached out to them, ended up getting the same job as her, did a little bit of like sideline reporting for AAU games, came back to IU, and I was like, okay, sophomore year, how can I, get involved, keep, trying to keep this mindset of like, let's, continue building this community. It's like, let me work in what I did over the summer because I like really enjoyed doing that and see how I can apply that to being on campus, right? So,
Hmm. I like that.
literally just sat down one day, IU Athletics website. I started scrolling through the directory, trying to figure out whose email, whose title made the most sense to reach out to.
Hmm.
Finally got in touch with someone. I was like, hey, I want to get involved with like something with sports media. Who can you point me to? And they pointed me to a professor in the media school named Galen Clavio. He's the head of Big Ten Network Student U. He
Right.
sat
Okay.
down with me
Nice.
one day and he was like, okay, this is what you want to do. Here are the opportunities that are available. Do you want to do it? And I was like, okay, yeah. So I got placed on wrestling as a sideline reporter. This is my first semester sophomore year. And that's kind of how I got involved with the sports side of things at IU. Ended up meeting some really cool people through that. Um, and yeah, just continued on with my journey after that. That was kind of the start of everything.
That's really awesome, man. That's really awesome. So talk about your fraternity. I want to hear about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So MBL, Mu Beta Lambda,
Shout out me Beta
very,
Lambda.
yeah, shout out Mu Beta Lambda, shout out MBL. Yeah, it was founded in 2012. And we, I guess, just came up on our 12-year anniversary, so looking to expand to a
Woo
beta
woo.
chapter. Yep. Looking to expand to a beta chapter, but currently alpha chapter is at IU. And
Hmm.
it's for minority students, mainly. I mean, our chapters made up of students of color, and specifically for students who are either in the business school, the informatics school, or the school of like public. Um, I forget what it stands for. It's called SPIA, but anyways, just any majors that kind of circulate around the business world, we invite people to be a part of. And we have, this is going to look so bad if anybody from MBL is watching this, because I'm like, our pillars, I'm like trying to think through everything. But we have pillars, and I'm spacing on what those pillars are right now. But it's a lot of,
It's like no.
I know, I know.
No,
Um,
they proud of you. They have to be proud of you. Come on now.
I hope so. I hope so. But yeah, professional development was really at the core. Uh, we did a lot of different events and just took a lot of time when it came to like new member intake to just develop ourselves, and then our kind of pledge class, or like what we call Muse,
Hmm.
or like PMs, the new members, um, and to the best versions of themselves that they can be. I would say Mu Beta Lambda definitely shaped me into being a more professional individual, carrying myself a certain way,
Hmm.
um, dressing people a certain way, being able to present and stand in front of a room and deliver a presentation. I feel like honestly the amount of times they had me get up and do a random like speech, or read off of a slide, or have to speak. I mean, like I said, I was president of my chapter, so it's like speaking in front of a large group, I feel like has made me more comfortable getting in front of a camera, or even
Yep.
just like
Absolutely.
if
Good
we're
practice.
projecting my voice. I was like, I used to be horrible. Like I would get up and I'd be shaky. Like you could hear it in my voice. I would be sweating. Like my hands would be shaking. So that definitely helped with just some of the skills and qualities of being in the position and role I am today.
Hmm.
But yeah, shout out MBL. Like I said, I hope no one gets on me about not knowing the pillars anymore, because that ship has definitely sailed. But you can go check out our website and you can
Yeah,
learn
I'm gonna
all
text you
about
in a
it
few
there.
weeks. Like, did they say anything to you?
Right. Yeah. Hopefully I don't get any text messages, because
Right, right.
that's not a good look on my part. But love the chapter, love the organization. They've done a lot for me. One day I really hope I can give back and do the same for them. I'd love to see them
Yeah.
grow.
Hmm.
So yeah, the NBL will forever and always be in my heart. And I hope I continue to have an impact on them like they've had an impact on me. So
That's beautiful. That's what's up. That's beautiful. Okay, so talk about your transition from college to working professional, kind of where you are now. I remember when I first discovered your page, I was like, "Oh, she makes really good content." Like, what made you decide to do the content the way you do it, and like just kind of talk about that, the transition from college to kind of be a professional life.
yeah. Um, it wasn't easy. We'll just put it that way. I guess during my time at IU, knowing I liked being in sports and the sports industry, I wanted to continue finding experiences, whether that was internships or maybe externships, or just programs, whatever, to continue building my skills. But like I said, I came to IU wanting to get this marketing degree, wanting to get this business degree, and I was not going to change anything.
Yeah.
So I graduated with the marketing degree. I came in, wanting to get, I ended
Nice.
up getting a lot of like corporate marketing experiences in my summer internships. So I
Hmm.
felt like at the end of the day, once, May 22nd or May 2022 came around, um, I just had a stronger corporate marketing background, and didn't feel as confident stepping into the sports industry, like where I was with the experience I had. While I did have experience, I just what I knew I truly wanted, I wasn't going to be able to get right off the gate, and I didn't want to struggle. I didn't want to struggle
Right.
getting there. It's like I
Yeah.
know most people's paths are they're in the middle of nowhere, on some TV network that caters to a super small market. Like I did not want that to be my journey, and kind of do start it from the bottom, now we're here type of moment, even though it's kind of what I did, just in a different way. Um,
Right.
but yeah, just I don't want to take that traditional, okay, fresh out of college journalism route, right?
Right.
Um, so went the corporate marketing route. I was like, I knew I could make good money doing that. I knew there would be stability doing that. And then considering that the job I got was remote and I knew I would have a little bit of flexibility in my schedule to, make other stuff happen if I wanted to. Turns out I wasn't even going to be at that company for very long. I was um,
How
working
long
with
were you there?
6 weeks.
Oh,
Six
wow.
weeks.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was working with Oracle. It was like a marketing rotational program. There was maybe 20 other new grads in my program. Um, and it was just a really bad time to enter the tech industry. It was like
Mm,
horrible time to be in tech. I remember like Microsoft was laying people off, Google, Oracle, Salesforce. And yeah, like I said, I was there for no more than 6 weeks, got a call, and they're like, hey, like, the people that were in charge of your program got laid off, the program's terminated, you no longer have a job. I'm like, okay, great. This
damn.
was
Yeah, that's crazy.
definitely, yeah, it was not in the picture at all. I mean, you never expect to be a month and a half removed from graduating and you're without a job, even though you've had this job lined up for 3 months.
Right.
So
Exactly.
yeah, it was a huge turning point for me. And the crazy part was I was in Austin, Texas, where Oracle headquarters are, looking at
Hmm.
apartments, ready to move down there. So I remember like that I was there, and when I got the call, I was actually at headquarters when I got the call. I remember just going back to the
Wow.
Airbnb, and I just sat there and I'm like, what do I do? Like what do I do now? And I had this long conversation with my mom. She was with me on that trip, and she brought up something about sports reporting. I don't remember the exact words, but she's like, you have this interest in it. I was like, well, maybe you could do something with that, right? And we talked
Hmm.
through it a little bit, and I don't remember exactly what the conversation looked like, but basically kind of came to this conclusion that I was going to wake up the next day and just start talking about sports on social media. And like that was it. And I was going to start looking for jobs and, figure it out from there. And that's
Hmm.
exactly what I
Okay.
did. I had an old
Yeah.
Instagram page and a TikTok account that I didn't really use, and I turned that into Bailey Jackson Sports. Didn't even know what to name it. I was like, let me just put my name and sports in there and just call it a day.
Hey,
Um,
it has a ring to it.
it does now. Now I've turned it into something. So
Exactly. Yeah.
it works. It works now. But yeah, so I literally got back home and I made a video and I just kept making videos, and it was never really with the intention of like, oh, this is gonna go somewhere. Like I know this is going somewhere. It was more like I just want to stay fresh on my skills, be up to date on what's happening in the sports world, and hopefully, as time goes on, I get better to the point where an ESPN will want me or CBS Sports will want me, and like that will be my resume. Like Bailey Jackson Sports will be my resume.
Yeah.
And now it's turned into way more than what I could have ever imagined. And it's still, I mean, to this day, it really is kind of my working resume. People
Yeah.
ask me like, hey, like you have B-roll, you have, reel, you have blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, I have my social media handle. Like you can check it out. Um,
Right. Exactly.
but it's also turned into a business too, which has been really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's
Yeah.
really awesome, man. That's really, really awesome. Okay, so talk about some of the partnerships and companies you've worked with as Bailey Jackson Sports.
Yeah, so my first partnership, at least like the first big one, was FanDuel. I still
Hmm.
work with them to this day, and I'm on contract as a creator. You can find a lot of the FanDuel branded content on their pages. So TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, I'm on there. Worked really closely with Meta. They've sent me out to I guess Meta in combination with Whistle Sports sent me
Hmm.
out to the NBA in-season tournament, which was really cool. That was kind of my first brand trip.
Tell me about
Yeah.
that. Oh, please tell me about that.
It was a really cool opportunity. I had no expectations. I knew it was going to be a fun weekend. They had a whole itinerary planned for us. It was like we fly in Thursday. We are going to go to both the semifinal games. My Pacers were playing, so I was very happy about that. I was like the only
Hmm.
Pacers fan out of like the whole group of creators that came.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and then it was
Well,
like the
they're in the Eastern
next,
Conference Finals now, so
I know, and they're playing right
yeah,
now, game
they are
two.
playing right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
they are.
I'll be watching
They
right
are.
after.
Facts. Me
Um,
too.
yeah. So, yeah, they had this whole itinerary. I remember like seeing boardroom brunch. I'm like, what's boardroom? And now I'm like, oh my God, like that's crazy. Like in my head, I'm like, how do I not know what boardroom is? Like being in that room was like just insane. It's like this collab brunch with Threads. And there's just so many cool people. It was like Rich Paul was there, Miles Turner was there, Sabrina Ionescu was there, Asia Wilson, like some of the other Las
Wow,
Vegas
that's
aces.
I love Asia Wilson. Oh man.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was a room full of very influential people. Ended up meeting one of my really good friends to this day, Treasure Wilson, also known as Stat Baby on It Is What It Is with Cameron and Mace. Ended up
Yeah,
meeting
nice.
yeah, ended up meeting Cam there as well. So it was a great networking opportunity. And that's what I kept telling people when I came home from that trip. I'm like, the amount of networking I did there is like the most invaluable part of that trip. Like, yeah, the games were cool. It was great being there. It was my first time in Vegas. It was like, that cool, like, oh, first time in the city type of moment. But the thing that really stuck with me was like to be in the room that I was in was just like insane. The
Yeah.
people I met, like, got the chance to meet Shaq. That actually, that I think that was probably the coolest, most impactful relationship, or I guess introduction that I had there, because it's now turned into a really great business relationship. He follows me on Instagram. He's like reached out a lot. He
Wow,
reposts
man.
my content. Um,
Wow, man.
yeah, so it's just like that was a big turning point for me going to Vegas, and I was like sure the effects of it are still like kind of trickling down the path, and I'll continue to see more impact from that trip. But yeah, so
Wow.
anyways, that was it in a nutshell. I could go into so much more detail, but yeah, insane experience. So.
Tell me some other people you met. I'm interested now. That's that. How? What was Cameron like in person? Tell me that.
Oh, that's a really good question because it was such a like quick interaction. I was with Treasure.
Okay, feel you.
We were trying to like Treasure and I were going somewhere. He was going somewhere else. It was like really just like a handshake. Nice to meet you. He's been
Oh,
really
okay.
supportive as well. He's reached out to me with my content. So he's been really kind and supportive of what I do. Um, and yeah, so that was the kind of that interaction. I'm trying to think other people I've met. I went to All Star Weekend too. There's a lot of people I
Mm,
got the opportunity to meet there.
hmm.
So I'm just trying to I don't even know where to start with when it comes to names, but a lot of people. We'll just put it that way. A lot of NBA favorites, a lot of sports media favorites. Celebrities were there too, which was cool. We got to meet people I never even like thought I would have met. Kai Cenat, one of the
Mm,
really popular Twitch streamer,
hmm. Yep.
rappers, Moneybagg Yo,
I love
Glorilla,
Moneybag.
yeah. So,
Yeah, Glow.
so yeah, exactly. Carisha, we went to a boardroom brunch,
Uh-huh.
again at All Star Weekend, and Carisha from City Girls, we had a chance to talk to her for a bit. Um, Gosh, yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, I mean, just some random people that I would have never thought I would have like been in the same
Ever
room with,
met.
let alone, yeah, had a conversation with, and like now we're cool. Like, even this was such a random one. She's friends with one of my friends, but Ruby Rose. I was like
Yeah, yeah.
introduced, he introduced me to her. Like, we chatted for a bit, and now like we follow each other on Instagram. I'm like, who in the world would
That's
have like I would have never thought
yeah.
I would be like cool with Ruby Rose. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
but yeah,
exactly.
just
That's
like
that's
it's
that's a crazy thought. Like Shaq follows me, Cameron reaches out, Ruby Rose is cool with me. You doing it.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Belly Jackson
somehow.
Sport.
Somehow.
You are doing
Somehow.
it, man.
Yeah, it's been cool. It's been a really cool just journey. Like, I'm incredibly blessed to be in this position. 'Cause yeah, it's opened a lot of interesting doors, a lot of really cool doors. So,
Hmm.
yeah, it's been fun.
Okay, so since probably 2 months ago, the first time we actually, attempted to do this interview, tell me some like new updates.
New
If there
updates.
if there's
Okay.
anything like new.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot going on. Some stuff that I like can't quite speak on yet, but the
Absolutely.
biggest thing I'd say, this is like being finalized as we speak, is Paris, the Olympics this summer. Yeah, so I'm going to Paris. I'm very excited about that.
You
This has been
should
in the
be. Oh man,
works.
congrats, Bailey. That
Thank
is
you.
wow. That is excellent, man.
Thank you. Yeah, it was
That is
crazy too because at the start of the year, I've done this for the past like maybe 2, 3 years. I've created a vision board, um, and I put Paris 2024 on there. No clue
wow.
how I was gonna make it happen, but I just knew I wanted to get there some way somehow. And I got an email maybe midway through February from World Aquatics. It's the Federation for all water sports across the globe.
Hmm.
And they somehow found my content, either, I believe he said like Instagram or LinkedIn or combination of the two,
Hmm.
and basically kind of conducted some interviews with me. I didn't even really understand that I was interviewing for a
Right.
role with them when I first started meeting with them. But they told me that they were looking for a co-presenter for Paris and then for other events that they're doing. And ultimately got chosen for, for that role.
That is
Of course,
incredible.
yeah, accepted it. And yeah, I'll be heading to Paris July. I think late like 23rd or something like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
very excited for that. So I'll be doing all of the swimming, diving, open water swimming, synchronized swimming. You'll see it on social media between my page, World Aquatics page, hopefully reposted by the Olympics page. Same
Yeah.
with Team
Absolutely.
USA, all of that stuff. So yeah, I'm very excited for that. It's been like one of the biggest projects on my plate.
Right. Right.
So I'm glad I can like kind of start to tell people about it. But yeah, so that's what's new. Like I said, there's some other really cool things happening as well, but it'll come out in time. So
Will come out in time. Exactly. Absolutely.
yeah.
That's incredible, man. So like the power of just betting on yourself.
Hmm.
That's what you
Yeah.
did. You bet on yourself. You were like, okay, I did the corporate thing, and yank carpet came from under my feet. Just bet on yourself. That's
Yeah.
man, wow. Not Paris. Oh man, that's. I'm sorry. I'm really proud and just happy for you. That's a big deal, man.
Thank you. Thank
Going to
you.
Paris. I
Yeah.
have to ask you. I have to ask you. Who do you have winning the Eastern Conference Finals? Because
I
I know
want
there's
the
like the fan hat, and then there's like
yeah.
the analytical
The
hat. So.
yeah. The analytical hat says the Celtics. Now, the
Mhm.
fan hat, of course, says the Pacers. I think the Pacers will make it tough for the Celtics, but at the end of the day, the Celtics are the better team.
Mhm.
Um, I think this Pacers team just has some developing to do. They're great, don't get me wrong. These guys, as
Mhm.
as long as they continue to stick together and just keep developing this core that they have, they are going to be contenders next year, the year
Mhm.
after.
Yeah.
Um, they gotta play some defense though. That's like the biggest thing. They gotta play some
Yeah.
defense. Oh my gosh. And
Yeah.
just like shot selection. I mean, like Halliburton, he's
Mhm.
great, but just sometimes it's just like questionable what's going on. I think some coaching decisions, like at least so far this series, or not this series, but just this playoff run has been
Mhm.
just kind of iffy here and there. I know even Rick Carlisle kind of confessed to that in this last game.
Mhm.
Um, and at the same time, like the Celtics, I mean, I've been watching kind of what everybody else is saying, and like just I saw the game for myself. What was that, Tuesday?
Mhm.
Like, the Celtics didn't really play to the Celtics standard either.
Right.
So and that's where I'm like, okay, like I could see this series kind of going into 5, 6 games, probably I would say 6 games.
Yeah. Six.
Um,
I agree.
yeah, but Yeah, I mean, like I said, analytical hats saying Celtics, but man,
Saying
do I want my
Celtics here.
Pacers to win. That'd be great. Like if the Pacers were to make it past Eastern Conference Finals, I mean, I would be over the moon. I would be over the moon, and I would just cut this part out of the interview. Me saying the Celtics, because that would look so bad for me as an Indy native and Pacers fan. Just yeah, cut that out.
Okay, gotcha. Let me challenge your analytical hat one more time.
Okay.
Had the Knicks not had four people hurt, do you honestly think the
Yeah.
Pacers would have made it past them?
No. No. I know a lot of
Okay.
people have been saying like Pacers only made it because they've been playing hospital teams, and I do kind of agree with that. They did get lucky, because it was like before the Knicks was
Was it the Bucks?
the Bucks. Yeah, that's why am I
And yeah,
spacing right now?
Giannis went
Is
down. And then Dame
Giannis
missed the
and
game.
Dame? Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Um, so I mean, if Giannis had been healthy, if Dame would have been healthy for the full series, they probably wouldn't have made it past the Bucks, realistically speaking.
Right.
So it's like even like the talking about the Knicks, like having those people out, it's like we probably wouldn't be having that conversation if they would have been playing healthy teams from the start. So
Hmm.
yeah, to answer your question, no, they did get lucky. At the same time, like this team is good, and I think people have doubted the Pacers way more than they probably should have. Um,
Hmm.
but I mean, yeah, like I said, in a perfect world, just even the team that we are seeing now, and at their best moment, like they're playing their best ball. I still just don't see them in this position. If, like I said, if it were a perfect world and everybody were healthy over these
Yeah.
last two teams.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know we're running short on time because I had more questions and stuff, but
No,
you
go
and I have
ahead,
talked
go
about.
ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, for me, I feel like Julius Randle is on the hot seat,
Mhm.
and I only say that because if you're Julius Randle, you go down and you're like, oh man, they're going to miss me for the playoffs. And then you watch what really happened. They were a game away from the Eastern Conference Finals, even with the injuries, which is just miraculous.
Mhm.
I really liked what they got. OG Anunoby, 3-and-D guy, high level. But Mitchell Robinson got hurt. So for me, it's like you watched Jalen Brunson,
Mhm.
Vincenzo, and Hart, who all played at Villanova together. So I feel like there's
Mhm.
some Villanova magic. You watched them carry this team. Vincenzo
Yeah.
averaged 28 last series, which is like, what?
Yeah.
He's not that kind of player. You know what I mean? Josh Hart, 11 boards. Like, what in the world? But
Mhm.
if you're Julius Randle, you've watched them go probably to me further than they would have if he was healthy. And I say that because of his style of play. I feel like he's the before before Jalen Brunson got there and kind of ascended, Julius Randle was the assumed like best player on the team. And
Mhm.
I feel like at this point, we can no longer say that. Like Julius Randle averaged, I mean, Jalen Brunson averaged 28 a game during the season. And in the playoffs, even though he's out now, he's the leading scorer per game still for the playoffs.
Mhm.
So
Right.
I think it's completely like evident that Jalen Brunson is the number one guy. If I'm Julius
Mhm.
Randle, I feel like I would have to fit a role a little more next season versus poking out. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? I feel like he kind of needs to commit to being like 15 and 15.
Mhm.
You're not going to be 30 and 45. That's not going to be your role anymore. They don't really need that. Like in my opinion, they should let him go. You know,
Yeah.
Julius Randle is a good talent. Maybe trade him to a meager team and see what you can get back for it. Maybe a pick and a power forward or something. But what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. I mean, you make a good point. Like Brunson is the guy now. I mean, he's
Hmm.
proven that this season. His stat line really speaks for itself. I mean, and pretty much after the All Star break, is like he went crazy, and then of course, we
Yeah.
talk about this playoff run. Um, so there's no doubt that I feel like the focus is going to be on him going forward. I don't know if trading Julius is the answer,
Hmm.
because at the same time, I feel like that may also imply building around Brunson,
Hmm. Yep.
and I don't think that the Knicks are really that's not with the coach in place. That's not what the Knicks are going to do. Like Tom Thibodeau, he that team is built around him. wherever Thibodeau's gone, the team has been built around him. He's the focal point. He's, like, yes, Brunson's the star, but like they're gonna build this team around what he wants. If he wants Randall, which I haven't heard him say that he doesn't. I haven't heard him say that he, is like over the moon about keeping him or whatever. I don't know what his opinion is on him. But if he wants Randall, Randall's staying. You know what I mean? Like I think it really just kind of comes down to what he wants, and whatever that is, then that's what's going to happen. I don't really see the need for them to break up this team too much. I think what they've got going on is good, and it's just, if anything, just focus on developing it. And like you said, maybe it's just Randall takes this off season and the course of the next season to just change his role a bit and fit into a style of play that makes more sense now that he may not be the focal point, and now that Brunson's really that guy. So that's my opinion on it. But I don't see trading Randall as maybe the solution. Yeah, I don't see that being the solution.
Okay, I hear you.
Yeah.
I just think that he's the kind of player he wants to be number one.
No, that's
and
fair.
he's still some immature as well, to be honest. So it's like if he would be willing to accept, because we agree, like kind of he has to kind of retool at this point. If he would be willing to retool, keep him, because then what happens when he does explode? You know what I mean?
Right.
But do you think he would be lock in step with not being the guy? That's kind of what I'm really getting at.
Yeah. Probably not. Probably realistically, probably not.
It was right. But see, that's where I'm thinking about. Like, I don't think he would want to be like, well, it's his team. What you mean?
Yeah. Taking a backseat to kind of, hey, this is the Brunson train now.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, if there's an opportunity available to him and it makes sense for a team to pick him or to take him, and I guess in the next case to let him go, then I'm sure he'll probably do whatever he can do to make that happen, and be the number one guy and get paid on top of that. But yeah, I mean, you make a really good point. Like him taking a back seat, I don't know how long. We'll just put it this way: I don't know how long he'll be okay with it. Like I said, I still think that the Knicks are gonna probably try to keep him around, and just encouraged that his role changes a bit. But it's like, how long will he be okay doing that is really the biggest question mark.
He's a wonderful talent, so it's like you keep him if you can, but you just want to make sure that there's a fit, because you're highly analytical. I can't really talk to everybody about sports, but you'll get this. Team fit matters. And I think sometimes people see names on a sheet and they go, oh, boom, they're this team. And I'm like, no, like the Suns. Everybody was so shocked they got swept the first round. I'm like, did y'all look at the whole roster? Or did you just look at KD, Booker, and Bill? But Bill has been chronically hurt. I'm not sure why Phoenix didn't take that into account before they got him, as well as his huge contract. But you had 3 scorers. KD is malleable. He can kind of fit any team, honestly, I think, in the history of the sport. Booker can pass. Bill, but the point is, like, to me, I never saw Phoenix being anything. So I wasn't shocked at all that they lost, especially because Timberwolves, last year, they lost the play-in game to the Lakers because Ant-Man was 3 of 16. They should have won that game by 20, but they lost it in the fourth quarter. So then there's Minnesota, who swept them, and it's because this year Ant-Man has ascended. You know what I mean? Like, so it's funny because me and my dad, we talk a lot of sports, and he just was like, it's the Nuggets, to take or lose. And at the beginning of the season, I had the Celtics and the Nuggets. That's what I had, Celtics, Nuggets. I'm a big Jason Tatum fan. For me, it was like when LeBron retires, that'll probably be my favorite player. Honestly, that's now Anthony Edwards. Tatum's second now to Anthony. Anthony Edwards is like, nah, he's because I also felt like there's a lot of talent, but I don't really see a face of the league once LeBron retires. But I think it could be Ant-Man. I really do. So it was funny because I told my dad, I said, I'm not picking a team either way, the Nuggets or the Wolves. It's just going to be 7 either way. but people need to not pretend that the Wolves can't beat them.
Yeah.
We saw the Lakers lead the series against the Nuggets 68% of the time. The Lakers should be here right now. They don't play defense and they don't know how to close. Oh, stay to beat the Nuggets. The Nuggets had cracks last year. The Nuggets had cracks this year. And I feel like the Wolves was the only team to really expose that. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? So it's funny because I didn't pick the Wolves, but it's like I feel like they have the best chance to go to the finals. I think they have the most well-rounded team. I think Dallas has gone under the radar because it's like, oh, it's the Luka train. Yeah, they got Kyrie, but it's like, no, but they got PJ Washington. They got
Mhm.
Gafford. They made it. They have a well-rounded team now. It's not just the Luka show. So
Mhm.
also, what do you see, Dallas or Minnesota?
Um, I guess before last night I was gonna say Minnesota.
Me
Because
too.
I'm not gonna lie, Dallas coming in and beating them at home, kind of took me by surprise. Oh, I guess took me by surprise slightly. I'm not mad about how that game went. It was a really good back and forth effort between the two
It was a
teams.
great game to watch. Yeah,
Yeah,
but well, Ant
yes,
Man and Towns both struggled though. So
they did. I mean, yeah, their points were limited.
mhm.
They definitely did not put up the stat lines that we're used to seeing from them. And then what Kyrie and Luka combined for 63. I mean, like,
Crazy,
there's not much you
crazy.
can do with that. You know
It's
what I
really
mean?
not. That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's not much you can do with that. But I mean, they took control of the second half, and that fourth quarter is like they got the job done. Um,
yeah, they did.
so if we continue to see that Dallas team going forward, then I don't know, maybe it is the
Probably
Mavericks.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but at the same time, like I'm not super confident in saying that either. Like I fully believe that the Timberwolves are going to come back and win game two, especially
hmm
considering they have, they're going to be at home again. Um, but yeah, it's just gonna like game one. Richard Jefferson said this. I forget when exactly he was like referring to, or what game he was referring to when he said this, but like the basically something along the lines of like the losers of game one are like the biggest winners or whatever, like in the sense that
Okay. They
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 have go you want to go ahead.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. They have the opportunity to go back, reevaluate what didn't work for them, come back and
Yep.
apply that to
hmm
the next game, right?
Yeah.
And make all the necessary tweaks. It's like they had their game exposed, right? Their game was
They
completely
did.
exposed game one. Like, okay, well, what can they come back do differently to come and shock the Mavericks in
hmm
game two and take the dub in that game. Richard said it way better than I just explained it, and of course,
No,
with
he
his
explained it well.
with his basketball background, it was a lot more detailed than that. But anyways, you get the gist. It's like this them losing is not. I don't think it's like the biggest setback ever, and if anything, it's maybe
Right.
slightly a bit of an advantage. Is kind of what I'm getting at. So
hmm
long story short, I still see the Timberwolves winning this series and advancing to the finals. I've said since the Nuggets Timberwolves matchup, whoever was coming out of that game was winning this year.
I agree.
Whether,
That's how I felt.
yeah, whoever's
Yeah,
coming
that
out of
was how I
that.
felt.
So I'm sticking with the Timberwolves on that.
Okay, so all right, let's talk
Yeah.
finals. What do you have winning it all?
Um, I mean, honestly, Timberwolves at this point. I mean,
hmm
it was the Nuggets. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, "Oh, I'm on this Timberwolves train the whole time." I definitely thought it was gonna be the
Right,
Nuggets.
right.
Um,
I don't think any of us want the Timberwolves train all the way.
no, no, and I
Yeah.
think the people who say they are, they're lying. they're
Right, exactly.
they're
I've been a Wolves
bandwagons.
fan. Like, no, you're not.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. I'm like,
Right. Like,
prove it.
no,
Prove it.
exactly.
Like,
Yeah, you ain't know.
let me see. Let me
Show us
see you
some
tweeting
season
about
tickets from
it.
3, 4 seasons ago. Yeah,
Exactly.
you ain't.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the
Right.
yeah. People
Um,
funny.
but yeah, I mean the Western Conference. Like prior to the Timberwolves Nuggets game or series, it was for me. I was like, okay, whoever's coming out of the West is winning it all. No shade to the Celtics. I know you're a Jason Tatum fan. No shade to the
No, it's true.
Celtics, but they've had a very easy path. the Eastern Conference isn't as competitive as the Western
It's
Conference.
not. Nope. Still not.
With that
Yep.
being said, whoever came out of the West, in this case, my prediction is the Timberwolves is going to win it all. And I guess that also exposes the fact that we've already talked about this, but the fact that I think the Celtics are going to advance past the Eastern Conference Finals.
Right.
But considering that the matchup that I'm envisioning in my head, then yes, the Timberwolves.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's funny. So I talk about the Celtics all the time, and I talk about Mark Jackson when he dropped a quote maybe a season or two ago that the players now are bigger, stronger, faster, more talented, but they're dumber. And I think that exemplifies sometimes how you see basketball now. Jason Tatum to me walks into way too many 3-pointers. You're 6'9", you're almost unstoppable around the basket. Go to the basket. So for me, the Celtics do too much iso ball. It's Tatum's turn, it's Brown's turn, it's Derek White's turn. And actually, on the topic of Derek White, I'm a lifelong Spurs fan. He did not play as good when he's with the Spurs. Not at all. Definitely looking like who is this guy? Clutch baskets, walking up in the shot, swish. But that might have been Popovich because he's militant. But so for me, I feel like, and I also feel like Joe Mazzulla is a young coach who he's not bad, but I don't feel like he's truly what they need either. I feel like Udoka was more of what they needed. And he admitted he got outcoached, against Golden State in 2022. But I felt like that was who they needed. Mazzulla's a decent replacement, but I feel like the team is kind of running on talent, in my opinion. Because if you're a coach and you really understand basketball philosophy, you have got to get Tatum and Brown out of the iso ball. That's not helping them. They could they're 6'7" and 6'9". They could pick and roll with each other. You know what I mean? Like it's just so much iso ball. And I think that's why, for me, it's so funny. I thought this to myself and then I saw it on Facebook. The comparison of this year's Wolves to like the dynastic Lakers. You have like Conley is the Derek Fisher. I could really give you 20 if I pressed hard enough. I might even give you 25, but honestly, I'm gonna give you 10 and 5 because that's my role. But if I'm left open, it's a swish. Don't be surprised. Ant-Man's Kobe. Nobody's Kobe. Don't get me wrong, but on the team, he's Kobe.
Closest comparison, right?
Exactly, closest comparison. Shaq is Gobert and Towns.
What do you think? And since we're talking about Gobert, because I've had this conversation with so many people, do you think he's as underrated as everybody in the league apparently thinks he is? And do you think he's a good player? Because I've been defending Gobert since that most underrated voting came out like about a month or two ago. And I have so many people that disagree with me. They're like, Gobert's trash. Look at him. Like, he doesn't even play his role well. Like,
right.
What do you think about him?
I think Gobert is so most people, especially sports fans, aren't analytical. They're spectators and they're monolithic in thinking. So it's like Gobert goes against Jokic and gets destroyed. Gobert goes against Embiid and gets destroyed. I'm like, they're two of the best offensive centers to ever exist. Exactly. But Lil Wayne made a really good point on Undisputed, I think, this week. He was like, oh, don't be confused. When people go down the lane, they're looking for Gobert. Maybe not Jokic, but the rest of the team is looking for him. And Paul Pierce was like, oh, that's a good point, Wayne. And Lil Wayne kind of told him, like, y'all sleeping on Gobert. His length, he's 7'2". There's a reason he's a 4-time defensive player of the year. Like, I asked my dad, I was like, if they win the finals this year, is he Hall of Fame? Gobert. He was like, yeah, honestly. He doesn't like him, but he was like, honestly, probably, yeah. I mean, 4 defensive player of the year awards and a title, and one of them in the same year you won a defensive player of the year award. So I think I think he's really good. I think that parts of his game have been stagnant for too long. That's my only problem with him. If Gobert could sincerely sneak you 20 and you didn't realize he had it, they could win 70 games and sweep the first 3 rounds, even in the West. You know what I mean? Because you would get garbage buckets from him. I think so. I always metaphorically I try to tie things together for like ease of thought. So let's give it a letter grade. If I had to give it a letter grade, as a defender, I would say he's an A. as a total center, he's probably a B, maybe B minus, only because again his offensive game never really grew, and it's not his role doesn't necessarily call for a lot of shots, but just the ability to go, hey, I can actually maybe hit this little hook 6, 7 feet out, like something like that. But I feel like he's a really good defender who gets a bad rep because a lot of the time he goes against top centers and doesn't really like do anything against them. But I think when you're going against top people, do you ever really stop them or do they get cold? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
LeBron, for instance, the 2011 finals is probably the only time we've ever seen him truly shut down in 21 seasons. You know what I mean? So I feel like he's a good player. And I think he has importance for sure to that team. Yeah, he's a good player.
All right. No, I agree with you. I completely agree with you. Like I said, I've been defending Gobert since that whatever news article stat line came out and all those votes came out. But yeah, I mean, if he was better offensively, like the Timberwolves Dallas question, the who's winning the finals, like that would be a no-brainer because it's like we know we're gonna get buckets from him. We know we're gonna get buckets from Ant. We know most likely get buckets from Cat. Jaden McDaniels. I mean, he came and he surprised everybody.
Oh my gosh! The last 2 games of the Nuggets series was him.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? He had 43 points in the last 2 games.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, long story short, I completely agree. I think Gobert's definitely deserves more credit than he's given. And I mean, like I said, the awards speak for themselves too. It's like you can't discredit a player who's been what did was it 4-time
defensive player of the year.
Yeah, exactly. And then all defensive team 3 times now.
I didn't even know that. Okay.
Yeah, so something like that. But yeah, it's like you can't look past it and just be like, no, he's trash. Sorry. Like I had a friend that said I'd take Jared Allen over him. I'm like, Jared
Allen is home on his couch. Okay, he's
Jared Allen's
home
in
on his couch.
Yeah,
exactly. You know what I mean. They went 7 with the Magic. Let's not talk about Jared Allen.
Right.
Let's not talk about Jared Allen. Be the Magic convincingly first before we talk about them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You're trolling at this point if you want to take Jared Allen over Rudy Gobert. Like, let's be
real. Like who in the world would say that? I like Jared Allen, but come on now. Like let's not jump out the window yet. Like you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Okay, so question. I feel like the Timberwolves defense was number 1 in the league. One of the things I think is a slight issue with the Timberwolves is Towns. I feel like Towns, when he was drafted, number one, he said in the post game one time, a week, maybe a couple games ago, I've been here 9 years. I didn't realize it's been 9 years already since he's been in the NBA. That's crazy how fast time goes. But I feel like ain't it crazy? I feel like he had the same syndrome. Right. Like 9? I was like maybe 6, 7, but he said 9. But like, wow. I feel like he was in a similar situation as Kevin Love was. He was the best player, so he just kind of had carte blanche to do whatever. I feel like since having a more complete team, I feel like Towns has kind of sunk in a little bit. He averaged like 21 and 8 this year, which is okay, solid numbers. But as a power forward, I would want more rebounds than 8. That's me, especially if you're 6'11". Number 2, I feel like your energy and who you are as a person matters when you play. Kobe talked about this. LeBron's a fun-loving guy. I'm an asshole. It's what Kobe talked about. Towns, to me, is a fun-loving guy, and I feel like sometimes he drifts now that Ant-Man is like number 1. And so I also feel like if Gobert could sneak you 20, but I feel like if Towns picked his spots better, you know what I mean, maybe less 3-pointers. He's a self-proclaimed best shooting big man in NBA history. Whatever. That aside, I just feel like he should use his touches better. You know what I mean? Because when you're talking about the Wolves, Conley might be like, 6'1", but Ant-Man's 6'5", 6'6". McDaniels is 6'9". Nas Reed is 6'10". Gobert is 7'2". And Karl Anthony Towns is 6'11". Yeah. So it's like, I wonder, and I said I had a question, I'm sorry. I really just wonder, do they really coach size? They have unbridled size over everybody in the league.
Hmm. Yeah.
Why do you think like what do you agree that Towns could also be another potential reason they would be unbeatable if he played better? Now that
Oh
he's
yeah.
like not number one guy.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, if he, we'll just put it this way. You know you're going to get a guaranteed win from the Timberwolves when Towns plays to the level that we've seen him play to previously. I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, he's not the number one guy. Ant stepped in, he's proved that. And maybe Cat has just succumbed to his role a little bit. But if he really truly wanted to go out there and be the guy that we've seen him be, then there would be absolutely no question on, like I said, if the Timberwolves were going to win a game. It doesn't even matter what game it is, like just a game.
Hmm.
Um, and now I'm spacing on an exact wording of your question, but I'm just going to leave it at that.
No,
If Cat,
just what would the
yeah,
if Towns played to his potential more, in your words, would
yeah.
they be more of an unbeatable force,
Yeah,
basically?
absolutely. Yeah, if Cat were to step up and play to his full potential, I don't like I that's like a no-brainer in my mind. Like they would be the team. I think that's even a conversation starter for like would they be like a new dynasty? You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah.
Like I think that's like guaranteed wins, honestly. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, long story short, to answer your question, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're lock and step. We agree. The Wolves, if they play correctly. Um, I just also sometimes wonder why the league doesn't pick and roll more. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but the pick and roll is literally an unstoppable play if you run it correctly. And I just don't understand. Like even the Lakers and Nuggets. The Nuggets proved across two series now they couldn't stop
Mhm.
AD and LeBron's pick and roll. And I'm like, in my opinion, that is coaching. Why aren't you
Mhm.
calling this more in the fourth quarter? It should be 6 minutes of pick and rolls. Like we're gonna make you stop this pick and roll.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I just that's just something I wonder about. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so we're at about an hour now, a little over. So this has been great, like it was last time. The people will see
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah.
You and I will talk more, and I appreciate you coming in. I know you have your tag, your tag there, Bailey Jackson. But just tell the people where they can find you, and be updated about what you have
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah, you can find me. My main platforms are Instagram and TikTok. Um, but I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, I'm on YouTube Shorts, I'm on Threads. You can find me on as Bailey Jackson Sports on all of those. Twitter or X is the only one that's a little different. It's Bailey J Sports, but Bailey Jackson Sports everywhere else.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, thank you again for taking another hour because I think it was around the same time last time. Thank you again for letting me interview you, talking about your journey. I really appreciate you. Thank you, Bailey. Thank you a lot.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And I will again absolutely have you again. Thank you so much.